Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with a great podcast. We certainly appreciate you tuning in. Have I ever told you that before? We just love you guys. We love you, but it's not like a family love. We love you, but we don't judge you. You can be who you are with us. We still care. We still love you. As long as you're a good person, I suppose. I don't know. Be a good people. Anyway, guys, go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Hit the bell notification. There's no bell notification on Goodreads. Go to goodreads.com. You can see everything you're reading or reviewing over there. And if you can find a bell notification, let me know because there isn't one. But the bell notification is on the youtube.com/Chris Voss. You can go there and hit that bell notification over and over all you want. Actually, just hit it once or whatever you do, make sure it's turned on. Now you get all the notifications of everything we do, and you get those dings. Lots of really cool gifts that we'll be talking about, different reviews of product. We got some new JBL stuff that was in, and a bunch of phones that we've got to post. So lots of gift giving guides for the big Christmas that's coming here. You may have heard of it. Happens every year about this time. And the kids like those gifts. So we'll be talking about a gentleman today. It was an amazing children's book too. On top of that, go to all our groups, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us everywhere. We're just not on Snapchat for the most obvious of reasons. But TikTok, all those places the cool kids are at, we try and keep up with them. Anyway, guys, we have an amazing author on the show with us today. He is the author of the book Amal the Thirst Gamal, A Christmas Tale. Look at that. We're already in Christmas Tale stuff. Robert A. Schorr is on the show with us today. He just put out this book July 6, 2021, and it's great for children. So this is something you can, it might make a good stocking gift if you can fit in the stocking, or, order that up for a gift for the kids and they can enjoy it. Robert is the author of this new book, and it offers a delightful and traditional Christmas tale story. Let's call it a Christmas story from the perspective of its westward journey. And let me pull this down here. Westward journey plus themes of shunning, self-image, and personal empowerment. He spent 17 years in the Republic of China, Taiwan. He is fluent in Mandarin. That's pretty good. That's hard to do. Proficient in Hakka. And he's one of the few Westerners to earn a master's degree in Chinese literature from the highest prestigious National Taiwan University, where all his coursework, exams, materials, and thesis work were done in Chinese. Holy crap. Welcome to the show, Robert. How are you?
It's really good to be with you, Chris. Thanks a lot. It's a great privilege for me to be on your show.
Thanks for coming. Wow, Mandarin. I've heard Mandarin's really hard to learn.
Well, I really should qualify that. I came back from the States in 1994, so I would say fluent in Mandarin, but getting rusty now. So
yeah, well,
so, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't put me to the test.
I think the way our nation's going, we'll probably be overtaken by the Chinese. They have the largest navy, so
I'll be ready for translation.
At least you're ready for our overlords.
Yeah.
So give us your plug so people can find you.
I'm really grateful to be on your show, Chris. I listened to yesterday's podcast, and that was a fabulous show. I'm a little nervous about doing this one because it's going to be a hard one to follow up on that. But Woody Holton's study of the American Revolution and the Liberty is Sweet. That's great show. So thanks for letting me be on this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, my book. I'm real excited about it. It's a Christmas book. It's a sweet story. It's got a beautiful sense of rhyme and rhythm to it. It's got beautiful pictures to it. Watercolor paintings. Here's one of the pages, page 24 and 25. Beautiful.
Who'd you have do the watercolor pictures?
That was Christina Kuntz,
wow.
A wonderful illustrator, and she did a fabulous job with that. Actually, we worked together on it during the COVID times, and got a lot of free time to work on it then. Finally, so
nice.
I was pretty busy until then. So. But it's a delightful story, yes, taken from the perspective of going westward from the east. You know, the Christmas story in the Bible, for example, is just takes place in Bethlehem, and everybody arrives at the scene, but not much consideration for what was the journey like going westward, following a star and following a light and that kind of thing. So it's been fun to include that in the story. But it's a children's story. It's a little trinket for kids, is what it is. I hope they find it delightful.
There you go. Nice Christmas stories. That's what we're always looking for and stuff. So, did you give us your .coms where people can maybe find you or get to know you better on the interwebs?
Yeah, you can find me. I'm on Facebook, Amal the Thirsty Gamal. That's a Gamal, and that's just the Middle Eastern word for camel. But so Facebook, you can find me by just searching that, Amal the Thirsty Gamal, and also Instagram, same thing.
Oh, wow.
If you want to look for me on Twitter, which is not a real big account for me, but you can just do Amal the Gamal, leave the thirsty out. Yeah. And I have a web page called The Morning Frigate. It's just www.themorningfrigate.com. It's a literary web page, and I write things on there, translate Chinese poems and that kind of thing, and discuss literary topics. And that's there is no frigate like a book, as Emily Dickinson said. So I'm kind of playing on that beautiful poem she wrote.
Oh, yeah.
You can reach me on that. The book is available on Amazon and also through the publisher Mascot Press. You can get it at Barnes and Nobles. Out here in Southern California, where I am, they're in over quite a few dozen Barnes and Noble stores, but you may have to call your store and order it if it's not out here in the West Coast. But also available through any independent bookstore. I've got students over in Taiwan that got my book through the Bokalai bookstore. They had a few copies on hand, and now they're just ordering it now. But that's kind of the way bookstores do it these days. They don't get a big inventory unless you're famous.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how the whole thing's working, especially with the what do they call them? The distribution channels. Like every time I order a bunch of my books to sign, it takes like 2 or 3 weeks to get them. I'm like, wow,
yeah,
it's crazy. So what made you want to write this book? What motivated you?
Well, let's see. I've got a little spiel I usually tell the kids in answer to that question. You mind if I share that with you? Well,
yeah, spiel away.
And I tell kids, I tell them that just sheer compassion, Chris, is what motivated me to write the book. And that's because I'm actually convinced that my little character, Amal, the thirsty Gamal, is the saddest, most downtrodden, rejected, belittled creature in the entire animal kingdom. And I know that sounds a little bit overblown, perhaps, but bear with me a few minutes and think this through with me, and I think you're going to agree. First of all, we have camels at large. They themselves are terribly lowly and humble things as far as the animal kingdom is concerned. Yeah, I'm talking about the entire species. Are they not belittled by all the others? I mean, think about it. A hump. Lions have manes, and tigers have a roar, and eagles have wings, and elephants have hoses, and kangaroos have pouches, and turtles have houses, and even the firefly has a charming lantern that lights his way in the dark of night. But let a camel walk by, and every animal in the kingdom is bound to shake his head and go like, dude, what is that? Well, it's a hump. Okay, well, what's it for? What's the point of it? He doesn't know. Does it have a purpose? He doesn't know. He can't explain it. It was there when he got here. And so whenever the rest of the animals come by, that hump is a source of embarrassment for every single camel, not just my little camel. And that's why they have such stern, anxious-looking faces. I suppose you've noticed that. But hold on, we're not quite done yet. In the midst of this sad, humble, belittled group, very much like another breed of creatures I know, there is belittling and shaming going on. Are you ready for this? Among themselves, against each other. Yes, you see, right there in the camel family, we have Bactrians with 2 humps. And do they ever sneer at the camels with 1? Dromedaries, those are called. And they walk around with their heads hanging down, ashamed to admit that they're missing a hump. But at least they have one. That's something anyway. And if they could just find someone worse than themselves, more flawed perhaps, someone else that they could look down upon, someone a little lower on the ladder, someone they could make fun of themselves, well, wouldn't that be quite a relief? And so, behold, enter Amal, our sad little Gamal, who hardly has any hump at all, which means he was thirsty most of the time. And out in the desert, that's not a good sign. Amal is made fun of by the dromedaries, who have all been belittled by the Bactrians, who in turn have been teased by the lions and the eagles and the other privileged elite ones in the animal kingdom. So let me ask you, does it get any lower than Amal the Gamal? I rest my case. We can safely assume Amal the Gamal is the saddest, loneliest, most pitiful creature in the entire animal kingdom.
Oh,
that's kind of the spiel I give my kids when I get asked that. I was in seminary learning my Hebrew with Dr. Curtis and kind of tuning him out after I learned that the word for camel was Gamal. And I thought, well, that would be kind of a cool story to put together. I'll tell a story about Amal, a Gamal. And of course, he'd have to have a problem of some kind. And so thirsty was it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least they got their own line of cigarettes. They got that going for them. So sorry, I didn't put that joke in there.
Yeah.
I couldn't leave that out. But they got good sponsorships. I don't know. Maybe that's why they are depressed. They're smoking. They need to quit.
Yeah, that's right.
That's always bad for you. Don't do that, kids.
I can't do that.
Yeah, thankfully we just have parents that watch this show. Otherwise, YouTube's going to have it out with me on that one. So let's get into some of the details of the show, or details of the book, I should say. What are some of your readers, the little readers, going to learn from the book? What do you think? There's going to be there's lessons to learn in here, evidently.
There's going to be different levels of that. Little readers are going to learn to enjoy rhyme and rhythm, and the rhyming and rhythm of the book is a lot of fun. They're going to enjoy watercolors too. The pictures are just beautiful. Christina Kunz did a marvelous job describing the scene and she's got a picture of my camel on his knees praying. However you can do that, it's good luck trying to draw a camel on his knees praying, but she did it. She pulled it off, and they're just gonna enjoy the visual effects and the audio effects of it too. The rhyme and rhythm. It's not a regular rhyme. I don't like regular rhyme. I don't like constant, predictable sing-song rhyme. But the rhyming and rhythm is really fun in this thing. It's fun to read. I love reading it, and I'm doing a reading tomorrow night in Barnes and Noble near here.
Oh, nice!
And it's just going to be a lot of fun to read that thing. I've got it kind of memorized, actually.
There you go.
But other things, it gets deeper, and that's kind of what I like about the book. I've enjoyed doing it. It's not just a children's tale, just a shallow thing, and even the rhymes are not shallow. It's not quite like Green Eggs and Ham, where the rhyme is just kind of fun, but it's kind of captivating, I think.
Oh, wow!
Everyone who reads it says the same thing about it. But other things that kids are going to take away from the book is they're going to learn not to judge others by their appearances, and definitely not to judge a person by his defects, because my camel has a defect. They're going to learn not to listen to the voices of prejudice or rejection or exclusion, not to tolerate that in their life, but rather listen to the voice of wisdom. There are wise men on this caravan journey that is going from the east to the west. They're on their way to a destination far to the west, and there are wise men going with them. And at one point in the story, a real piece of wisdom sort of delivers my poor outcast camel. They're going to learn that there are beautiful mysteries to the Christmas story. And I don't really go into detail about it, but I hint at it. And it's kind of neat, because I think later on in their lives, when they get a little bit older and look back at the book again, it's going to dawn on them, like, this thing's kind of deep. There are things alluded to in the story that are rather profound. And I can explain some of those if you want.
Yeah, let's do.
And they're gonna also learn. I think probably the most important thing they're going to learn is that they themselves, my readers, my little readers, they themselves are beautifully made and specially made and made for a meaningful purpose in life.
Mhm.
I hope they get that message. And there's also a little science lesson about camels and humps. So I won't want to spoil the story by explaining all that, but there's faulty science running through the whole book. That's one of Amal's problems. And so it takes a wise man to correct that, and it becomes a complete revelation in his life. And so it's a lot of
That's
fun.
pretty interesting. Yeah, there's lots of cool stuff that kids can learn. It's a great book that not only the kids can read themselves, or they can have a parent read to them,
Yeah.
and all that stuff and interact with them.
Yeah, I'm a real advocate of reading aloud to your kids. Yeah, perfectly fine to read it on your own too, but kids are amazing. I'm quite amazed at how children pick up the vocabulary and the language of their parents just by sitting around the dinner table.
Mm-hmm.
No one's teaching them idioms at all, but they're picking up idioms. One day I was walking with my granddaughter back from the beach, and she was I think she was 3 years old, and she prefaced one of her sentences with, "Well, frankly, Grandpa," and she went on to launch about something, and I cut her off and said, "Evie, do you know what frankly means?" No, what does it mean? It's like she used it perfectly. She knew exactly how to use it, and my book has idioms in it like that too, and I just leave them in there because the kids they're gonna know how to use them and how to put them into the right context and get a lot of meaning out of the book because of it. So
I would agree with you. Reading is so important, and it develops the mind. I mean, every great author I know, and people that write well, there are big readers. There's something that
Oh
it
yeah.
just teaches your brain to to do the stuff.
Right.
So it's quite amazing and everything that goes into it. Let's see, what are some other things? You've got an underdog theme in there,
Mhm.
and an outcast theme. So there's lots of books that children's books have different themes. What makes yours very different?
Yeah, I mean, my camel has a very negligible hump, and
Mm.
he's been told all his life, well, then it means you're not carrying much water, and so he's told he'll never survive in the desert. He'll never make it on a caravan journey. He'll never be able to pull his load. He's going to be always inferior. They call him flat top. They call him flat as a table, things like that. But and he's an underdog. He's like an outcast at the
That's all
beginning.
right.
Quite apropos to your themes, Chris, for your show and your books of leadership is the fact that in my story, the outcast actually does become the leader in the end, and that's a fun little twist to it. So
There you go.
yeah, I would say some of the things I just listed that the kids would learn are making the book different, but especially those beautiful mysteries of Christmas. Let me just give you an example. During one of the nights on the journey westward, as the caravan and the wise men and the merchants are lounging at rest, an exotic old traveler comes in from the west and says, "A king has been born in a manger of hay. It's a strange way to come, if you ask my opinion, with no palace or splendor or signs of dominion. But that's what they say, a manger of hay." And one of the wise men goes, said the wise man, "Wouldn't you know, this journey gets stranger the further we go." Yeah, it is strange. It's a strange story. Christmas stories, he's born in a cattle stall. Jesus was born in a cattle stall and laid in a hay rick. A manger is just a box of hay. That's all it is.
Oh wow.
But there's a mystery to that, and the book of Isaiah actually mentions that manger in there, and in reference to the fact that man sometimes doesn't even rise to the level of the beasts of the field who know where their manger comes from and know who their creator is and things like that. Another reference is the the gifts of the wise men. One merchant speaks up and says, "Aren't your gifts strange, if you don't mind my saying? Do you really consider them fit for a king? Oh, the gold, of course, is perfectly fine, but incense and myrrh, I can only presume, are bound to wind up in some temple or tomb. What precisely did you have in mind?" Well, those are mysterious. Myrrh is a very interesting substance, and myrrh becomes an issue in the story.
Mm-hmm.
But the word myrrh comes from the Hebrew, which means bitter, and it is a bitter perfume. It's an intense, astringent perfume. It's actually kind of a medicinal substance, but the most intriguing thing about it is it's always used for embalming. It has something to do with the tomb. And of course, the tomb and the Messiah are kind of tied together in the scriptures.
Yeah.
So there's hints in the book about these mysterious things that, I mean, who gives embalming fluids to a baby as a gift, right? So,
that's kind of creepy. I never really even knew that. I learned a lot just now.
Yeah, the word marach is a Hebrew word for bitterness, and mur is the word for myrrh. Yeah, so
I think that was the name of one of my ex-wives.
But there are things there are things kind of prophetic going on in the story, but I don't really get into it much. I just touch upon it and toss it out there and let them mull it over.
Well, that's pretty darn cool. Very much so. So let's see. What else do we want to touch on about your book that you think will really entice people want to go get it?
Well, I just think it's a beautiful book. I think it's going to be a Christmas classic. Every child who's read it so far wants to hug this little camel and befriend him and protect him and defend him. He's very vulnerable. He's very afraid as he sets off on the journey, and ends up becoming wonderfully, gloriously delivered in the end. So it's quite a little triumph.
I think there's a lot of sometimes as a child you feel that way because number one, everyone's taller and bigger than you, so you feel all the adults, and you're like, these people scare me.
Yeah.
Which describes my childhood clearly. But you feel downtrodden. You're trying to find your place in the world. You're trying to find your footing. You're trying to find out, who am I and why am I here and what the hell's going on. If you're experiencing the program of life for the first time, you're just like, this is a bit daunting.
Yeah. Well, there's an element going on in the book that all kids face. I mean, they're so preoccupied with their appearance, and it's a big issue with kids these days. They get teased about their appearance, they get teased about their bodies, and every parent and every adult wants to take their little ones and sit them down and say, listen, don't listen to this, don't listen to these wrong voices. They're the kids you hear at school, or the snide things you hear at your upperclassmen at school. You're beautifully made. You're specially created, and you have a purpose too. And there's just we long to impart to them a good, positive message about who they are. And the world just seems to be shouting condemnation and criticism at them so often. That's really sad. So I'm glad the book is to sort of address that issue a little bit.
That's pretty good. It's interesting. A lot of the books that you read as a child really shape you. Like I can still remember a lot of the books that shaped me, or I don't know if they shaped me, but they gave me comfort. Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh, that's a great book. Yeah.
The Dr. Seuss books were cool.
They are cool. Very cool.
What are some of the Rabbits of Nim or something? There was the Tolkien books, of course, were popular when I was growing up.
Wonderful.
There's something of Nim. I don't remember what it was, but it was basically a rabbit community. That was interesting. Watership Down, I think, was another rabbit book. What the hell was with the rabbits and me growing up? We actually bred and had rabbits. That was the thing to do. So I don't know, maybe that's why I was into rabbits. But they were popular books that we had there. Yeah. But yeah, those are the books that, like I can read. I've probably read 1 billion books in my life, but yeah, those are the books I remember.
Yeah.
So
very important to us.
They definitely have an impact on you. They shape you. They give you something to experience life with, a bit of a security, 2 blankets. Sometimes you go to your books and stuff. I remember growing up and I would get lost in books and writing and stuff. And stories are such an important thing for kids to learn. Anything more you want to plug on your book or talk about before we go out?
I just want to encourage everybody. Well, there's a plush toy that goes with it.
Really?
Also available on Amazon, and it's a really cute plush toy. We had a really good time getting that ordered and brought into the equation.
That's cool.
It's a real cute little. I should have sent you a picture of that.
I have a picture of it before me. That's really cute.
Yeah, he's got a canteen. He wears a canteen. There's a point in this story where, well, maybe I'll read that to you.
Sure.
That little portion about the canteen, and he looks real beleaguered. Hasn't quite been delivered yet, so that's a lot of fun. And my grandson hugs the plush toy every night when he goes to bed, and wants to have the story read to him. So
I feel ripped off. I didn't get a plush toy with Where the Wild Things Are.
Well, I'll send you one, Chris. Okay, I'll send you one of those.
Right. I think that's really cool. I wasn't. I'd seen it here on Amazon, and it said frequently bought together, and so it presented that to me, and I just made the assumption that was some sort of algorithm from Amazon. Just like they found a camel, they're like, "Hey,
I'm glad they did that."
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's nice of them to do it.
So. Yeah, I'm like, so now I know what the camel is, but yeah, it's a cute camel. It's a little sad.
Yeah, I actually wanted to bundle the two. This publishing business is not easy to do.
It's pretty crazy.
I'm a hybrid publisher, so I have to do some of the work myself, and that's been a really neat experience for me. But I tried to get the two bundled together while on Amazon, and that took quite a bit of work. But it's there now, and if you go to Amazon, you can just type in the whole title of the book and put plush toy or plushie after it. Or I've got Bitly codes too and things like that. If you go on my website, I'll give you a Bitly link, and you can just get right into Amazon and get it, or you can get the plush toy from the publisher too, Mascot Books.
And it even says here on Amazon, if you order now, you can arrive before Christmas.
Yes,
so that's important. You want to order stuff now because they're having lots of distribution problems. In fact, a bunch of stuff I ordered from Amazon because of Amazon's. I think they went down on what was it, Monday?
I did hear that.
Yeah, everything I ordered is like coming a day late. They're like, sorry, we had a mess, and so yeah, there's going to be lots of complications. So you definitely want to order this. But I like this. I can see all these young kids sitting around a parent squeezing the little plushie toy. That gives it a whole 3-dimensional sort of context and aspect.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
So
maybe I'll just get one just to for when I get scared at night when the lights go off.
Keep it next to your mic.
Yeah, we'll put one next to the mic. I think you might have to buy a sponsorship for that, but yeah, we'll keep one on the show maybe somewhere. And
that'd be good.
The only problem is I got 2 huskies, and they might decide they like it better, and that probably wouldn't be a good thing.
I do love huskies.
Yeah, I love huskies, but I can never give them a stuffed toy because I don't know what it is. They'll play with it for a day or two, and I'm like, oh, they think it's cute, and then like I'll come, and it's been gutted of all the cotton.
That's what huskies are supposed to do.
Yeah, and I'm like, you just killed your favorite toy, you moron. It's horrible.
Yeah, they're just being themselves.
Yeah, so we don't give them plush toys anymore. So anything more you want to touch on before you go out?
I think we're good on that.
Cool.
I think it's pretty much it's just a children's book, but it's
order up the book.
It's delightful.
Order up the plush toy that comes with it, and I mean that way when you hand a kid a book, especially when I was growing up as a kid, you're like, oh great, thanks Grandma, book. But this is a great interaction for parents, and then you can give them a plush toy, And then, it's a whole big thing. It's a whole big package. It's not just the thing. And they'll probably, how kids are. They always want you to read everything over and over again. That's how they master things.
It's going to be a Christmas tradition for a lot of people.
There you go, guys. Order up the book. So it was wonderful to have you on, Robert. Give us your plugs one more time where people can find you on the interwebs.
Okay, the book is Amal, the Thirsty Gamal, and it's Gamal. It's the substitute word for camel, and it's available on Amazon. If you type in the search window, just type that whole name in there, Amal, the Thirsty Gamal. You'll find it that way. I don't know if they have a simpler connection yet or not, but it's also available on Barnes & Noble on their online ordering, or you can get it in the stores now. Independent stores everywhere will have it. It's through Ingram Books, and Ingram distributes them, so that's almost all the independent bookstores in America getting their books through Ingram, and Ingram's distributing my book too. So
that's awesome.
Hope you enjoy it.
There you go, guys. Thanks for being on the show, Robert. We certainly appreciate it.
Well, thank you for letting me be here. Wonderful.
Thanks for coming. And let's see. Order this baby up, guys. What a great thing. It's not just a book. It's there's a plush toy, and you can set a new Christmas tradition. Read to your kids. Give them stuff to read. We need a smarter generation. It really expands their mind and gives them tales of life. Great stories are the real fabric of life. Amal, the Thirsty Gamal, a Christmas tale. You can order that up wherever fine books are sold. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. You can see everything we're reading and reviewing. Also go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. See the video version of this. Also go to all of our groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and all those great places out there. Thanks for tuning in, folks, and we'll see you guys next time.